Yep. Okay.
So this is the cervical portion. There should be 7. This is your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So that kind of separates them off, and then it starts to become thoracic. So you do 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This one is stuck, so we can't move it, but this is technically a lumbar. And then there should also be 7 lumbar vertebrae. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then at the very end, you have your sacrum.
And this cat is facing to the left, so the left is cranial.
So this is your first cervical vertebra, and it's called the atlas. Ooh. And these are the wings of the atlas, if you can see them.
Mm-hmm. So point them at the pencil and then...
Yeah. So
do you want to go in the order of the...
Yeah, we could do that.
Manual?
Yeah. The cranial articular fovea. So in this one, it's weird.
These are the cranial
Those are the
articular
fovea? Okay.
fovea.
Is it the whole surface?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the caudal articular fovea, which is going to be the whole articular surface on the back. Okay. Then next we have the dorsal tubercle. So dorsal would be that it's on top, and tubercle is that it's a projection. So it's that little bump in the cranial part of the atlas.
Very subtle.
So, right there, yeah. Yeah, you got it. Then there's the ventral tubercle. And so it's on the bottom because it's ventral, and it's the little projection out on the bottom. And then we've got the vertebral arch, which is just kind of a typical arch, and then the vertebral body, which is like the floor of a room, if you're thinking about it that way. Yeah. And then we go to the wings of the atlas. And they should, in order to orient yourself, they should be pointing backwards like Naruto arms. Lateral vertebral foramina, and then the transverse vertebral foramina as well. So those are the lateral vertebral foramina, and then the ones below them are the transverse. And the reasoning that they're transverse is because they're on the wings, and those are transverse projections. They're in the transverse plane. And then the last thing is the
Alar notch.
Yeah, those are the little notches at the front.
Easily seen from the dorsal ventral view.
Yes.
Okay, so that was C1 atlas. Moving on to C2 axis.
So the first thing is the vertebral arch. That's going to be pretty consistent for all of them. And then the vertebral body. And then the spinous process is the alien head. The cranial articular surface. Yeah. And then the dens, the pointy guy, caudal articular process. Yeah, okay. I think it's just the bottom part though, because that's the articular part. So I would say if they pointed it to point just to this yeah, like that, the flat part.
Gotcha.
And then the caudal vertebral notch.
Caudal vertebral.
So it's a notch, so you can dip
see
in.
it from the lateral. So it's kind of like part of the arch, but from the lateral view.
Yeah, pretty much. The transverse process, right? And then the transverse foramen.
Are on the transverse processes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And then.
Sure. Next is the average cervical vertebrae.
This goes for all of the other 5, but it's just pretty much the same thing. Okay. Vertebral arch. So you can move the rest of it too. So it's the top part, the vertebral body. Oh wait, I think that's upside down actually. actually.
Oh, the spinous.
Yeah, because the body should always be the floor of your house, and the arch should always be the roof.
And the spinous process should always be dorsal.
Yes. But it's still the same thing. It's still that portion of it. So the arch and the body.
Still the arch, and this is the body.
Yeah. And then there is the spinous process, which you pointed out. The transverse process. Yep. The transverse foramen. Yep. Cranial articular process.
Cranial.
So look for like flat, smooth parts that are pointing cranially.
Cranial articular process.
Yeah.
Is right.
And then caudal articular process. I would say again it would be the flat bottom part, but I'm sure they would probably just point to this whole thing and you'd have to say this is it. But it's the flat part. And if they give you multiple ones, you can always put them together and kind of rub them and see how it works.
Yeah, so it would articulate like this.
Yes.
The caudal articular process
with
the cranial articular process.
And then the lamina.
The lamina is the roof of the arch.
Yeah. And then the pedicle
is the walls.
Yes. Okay, then we go on to the thoracic.
Oh yeah, and then we should mention that the cranial vertebral body is convex, whereas the caudal vertebral body is concave.
Yes.
AKA convex is like eyeball.
Yeah.
Concave, it just dips in.
Like a cave. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Then we move on to the thoracic vertebra. And these are all pretty much going to be the same, so that's why it's called the average thoracic vertebra. So then the vertebral arch. Yeah. The vertebral body. The spinous process is the big old thing. The transverse process pokes out the sides. Cranial articular process, which, yeah. And then the caudal articular process. Yes. The cranial costal fovea. So, costal means rib. And so it's referring to the location where the rib is going to kind of attach onto the vertebrae. And I always think that it's easiest to look at how the two vertebrae connect and then find the space between them.
Cranial costal fovea is like the ears of this bare-faced vertebral body.
And then if you turn it sideways, yeah, so and then that's correct. And then if you turn it sideways and match it with another of the thoracic vertebra, you can see the space here. That's where the rib itself is going to come in and insert right into that divot there. And that's why this is the cranial. And then the same would happen with these two. So then this one would be the caudal.
Oh yeah, and since we have two vertebrae stuck together like this, you should mention the intervertebral foramen.
Yes.
Which would be that hole
that
right
hole
there.
that you see through. Yes.
Created by two vertebrae together.
Yes.
And that's not to be confused with the vertebral foramen.
Which is the hole when you're looking through the vertebrae. Yes.
And this rope is kind of acting like the spinal cord.
Yes. And so we said the caudal costal fovea is just on the back end, right?
The bare ears on the back.
The transverse fovea.
Fovea, or
yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. Do we want to work on? I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I know for sure that was a structure that we have to identify.
Oh, okay, then yeah.
And then that's the only one that's left. So this is transverse fovea on the sides of the transverse processes.
Makes sense.
The lamina is the roof of the arch, and the pedicles are the walls.
Yes.
And then accessory process starts T12, T13. So this is T12. This is T13.
Yeah.
This is when your lumbar section starts.
Yes.
And the accessory process would be think this.
And then we said the accessory process on T12, T13 is like that little spine that sticks out. That's
Right here.
Yeah. it's
Sticking
the
out
T12.
kind of caudally
Yes.
from the transverse process. The accessory.
Yes. And you'll notice
This is
that
the accessory.
this starts on T12 and T13, so you won't see it on the others before. And that's how you know what it is. And you will see it slowly go away as you go down the spine. So you can see how this is smaller until it's eventually gone. It doesn't do it very well on this vertebra, but on others, it'll eventually be gone completely.
So this again was T12, T13,
Yeah.
and then now you can start with lumbar.
So again, it's a vertebral arch and vertebral body.
Here's the arch, here's the body.
Spinous process. The cranial articular process. You can't really see it. It's the inner side, I think, because it's the smooth side. And then if you look at how this one articulates, the inside is rubbing.
You said cranial articular
Yeah,
process?
cranial articular.
Cranial articular process is... This is the transverse process, right?
Yeah, it's your transverse process.
Okay, so cranial articular... Oh, you said it's this.
Yeah, but it's the I mean, the whole thing is technically it, but it's articulating on the flat part on the inside. But the whole thing is. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So it'd be like kind of the inside. So
Yeah, I'm sure what they're gonna do is they're gonna go, what is this whole thing?
Yeah.
And just be general, and you'll have to say cranial articular process.
Yeah.
And then caudal articular process.
Oh, right here. Where this guy's cranial articular process is in contact.
Yeah, and then freely you can see his caudal process is there. And then the lamina. The lamina, yeah.
Lamina is again the roof.
The pedicle.
Again is the wall.
Accessory process. It's actually kind of gone. Is it gone on this one?
Let's see, we can see
Yeah.
it on this one.
And then the mammillary process.
Is on top of the cranial articular process.
Yeah.
And maybe we can see it better. Oh, we can see it better
that's a
on
really good one.
this one. So this is the cranial articular process. And on top is the mammillary process.
Yes.
This is the transverse process, and this is the accessory
Yes.
caudal
And that's it
articular process.
for those. Now we can move on to sacrum. Oh, before we move on, we also have this portion, which is the tail. And what's important to note is just that they go from being more cuboidal and square and bigger to getting longer, thinner, and smaller.
And that comes after the sacrum.
Yes.
All right, so if this cat, that's cranial, this is caudal, their sacrum's going to be oriented like this.
Yeah. So what's the promontory? I think it's just the bottom, like just the
ventral portion of this vertebral
of the
body.
Yeah.
Just the ventral.
The wings.
So we're gonna reorient back to the cat's orientation. This is the wing.
The dorsal sacral foramina. The pelvic sacral foramina.
What's kind of funny about these is that they're the exact same hole, just from a different view.
The auricular surface.
Shaped like an ear.
Yeah. And then the median crest. There you go. And then that's it.
Oh, nice.
So oh, I accidentally did the tail first, but that's the caudal coccygeal vertebrae, which are these. Oops. I have it upside down, but yeah.